I'm Amy F. Adams, and today we're going to do some really cool colors. So Melissa here has a weave, it's just a blonde weave, and I do both. So I'll do a little bit of a chunky, some pieces a little thicker here, and some pieces I'll do the baby weave in. But as you can see, we also throw in a nice purple color, and I love this throughout my blonde's hair because it kind of ashes it out and makes it look like it's a lot cooler tone as opposed to a warmer tone. So today's just a freshen, you know, we're gonna retouch those roots, and I will show you throughout the process how we do our weave. Okay, so I like to measure all my color out, and we have, for the purple, I'm gonna do 599 in Schwarzkopf, and it's their Royal line, which is just their permanent line. Schwarzkopf has a lot of color lines. So as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and measure this out. I have grams here, and because it's a touch-up, we don't need a ton. Probably gonna do about 20, so 40 total. You can tell we're a true working stylist here with all of our bowls steamed. And the back room is definitely put into use. Okay, and to mix that up. You always want to mix your color up to a really smooth consistency, because if you don't and it's clumpy, you can get spots in your color. So definitely make sure you do that. And the back room here is a little bit cold as well, so sometimes it takes a little more mixing to get that color to emulsify together. Okay, so our bleach, I'm just using the Light Master from Matrix. I like this one a lot. I find that it doesn't damage the hair as long as you don't overprocess, and that it's really even. So I'm gonna do about a scoop. That usually ends up about 20 grams here. Let's get to that. And then for me, the consistency that I like my bleach is 2:1. So 2 parts of the developer and 1 part of bleach. So since I have 20 grams of the bleach, I'm gonna make it 60 total. For the brush that I like to do with blondes, I like to use something that has a really thin edge. So this brush, let's say versus a brush like this, you can see that this one's thicker and a little more wide, so it's harder to get into the hair without kind of overlapping or creating bleeders. So I like to use something nice and thin like that for my blondes. So for her bleach, since she's already a blonde, I'm just using 20 volume. And she has no gray coverage, so for her color, I just used a 10 volume. So I like to do things a little differently. I actually use a weave board for when I do my blondes, and that's just so that I can kind of pull the hair tight, and also I can really work in that purple color without leaving any spots left behind. So I'll show you how that goes. But I section in little sections that I want to work in, and I'll show you. I'll turn her around. So section also just a little different. I'm not doing a 4/4 section. So I want to work with just this section right here. So I'm like pulling this out of the way and this out of the way, just so that I can work really clean and not have any of these hairs get into our sections. So around the ear is always our trickiest area. You want to do the finest area. Like literally there's a part of that is not even with hair in it, because if you don't, there's a lot of drag here and it creates that rooted look right there around their face. So definitely take small, thin sections around the ear. And I try to weave out exactly where I weaved the last time. Just that way I'm not overlapping or creating more breakage throughout that blonde. So see, when I have the board, I can push tight and pull this hair, and that way I can get really close up there. So then I just take it, and you don't want to go all the way to the root because that will create a bleeder. The bleeders, and bleeders are just not pretty. They almost look like leopard prints throughout the hair. And never pull that bleach down that already blonde hair, because then you're just going to break that hair. So I leave one end to vent as well. So typically I don't fold my bleaches on both ends just so that it doesn't swell too much and again, pop out of the top and create a bleeder. My pattern here is 2 blondes to 1 purple. And so this one I did a little finer. Take the time to follow your weaves and you'll never have that train track look that a lot of stylists will have. You can turn your brush sideways and get any of the little hairs that maybe need it. So I'll take my board and I'll push that foil nice and tight up there, and then I will fold this side and just give that one a little. Make sure you have enough to vent like we just spoke about. We're going to do the purple. So you can see my weave right there, so I'm going to go ahead and grab just the purples that I've already done. And then I push the board up against their head using my belly. You kind of just get used to it. But now on purples, it's not the same as blonde. So we actually are going to take this color all the way down. And the reason that is because it's higher fashion color. Even though it's a permanent color, it's going to fade a little more. And also, it's not going to damage the hair like bleach would. And this one doesn't need to vent because it's not bleach. It doesn't swell. So you can actually fold both ends. So this weave, this section is probably more of a medium weave. It's not the baby lights and it's not chunky either. And throughout the hair, I just keep mixing that up because it gives us a little more of a natural look when she's wearing it back away from her face. There's no big chunks or anything like that. Those little hairs, trying to get those out of the way. Get those up out of there. I mean, I find that it's so easy to see exactly where I'm at, where my weave was. As long as you're following that every time, you will never have to go back and add their dark color to their hair. Again, don't go too close to the scalp because bleach swells, but go close enough that it doesn't look like they need a weave either. And I fold my foil right close to that head, just like that. Hold it, take my board and really get it up underneath of it, just like that. Around the face is going to be a little different, and I'll show you why. Because she has all of these little tiny hairs, and everybody has them. That's just not her. So what I like to do is I actually will take my foils and start at a diagonal around the face. And then this is an area that you definitely want to do a baby fine weave. Like, you don't want all of that because it would look weird when it's growing out and make it look like she has regrowth a lot faster too. So just really be gentle with these hairs. These hairs are not very strong either, so you don't want to break them. Don't overlap. My foils are never perfect, I'm not gonna lie. As long as the color comes out perfect, I'm good with that. Because I fold my foils for different reasons. Like, I will fold them for a purpose. I want them to stay tight and close. And sometimes I want some of them vented and some of them I don't. So my foils are always not as uniform as some of the stylists that you'll see. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back up here and do another small section right here. Again, like the ultra most finest section that you can have. Like, literally, like the size of that comb is perfection if you can get it that fine. And now I'm gonna do a little bit more because I want her to look like she has a halo, so I want her to be a little brighter around the face. Okay, so now we're about ready to start the back. So I like to make sure that these sections right here around their hair look a little more natural. I mean, as you can see, her grow outline is there, but I want to make sure they're not stripy where your foils go. So I'm going to show you how to turn the foil Again, you want to take super fine sections right here, just so that you don't create any drag, meaning giving it more rooted look. So then you take a very fine, this is going to be more of your baby fine weave right here. See that? And that's where this board really comes in handy, because if you're using the foil and comb, it's hard to keep it at that angle. So I just take the board and I push it up against the head, just like that. And I actually am giving her hair a little tug as well. So, and then I just go in. And if you get any on there, just kind of wipe it off. This is where I get my squats in. Just get down low here. Okay, and then I'll show you how to do the other side, which might be a little easier for you to see on the video. And just take a little fine section here. These are the things that will set you apart as a stylist versus what other people do. A lot of stylists just want to kind of get the work done and they want to get on with their next client. But make sure you're doing small details like this around the face and the hairline, and your clients will be a lot happier, so you'll have a lot better retention. Kind of have to contort my body all weird, but that's okay. All for the love of hair, man. Okay, and then the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing right across there. So just a nice fine section. You can see my weave here, my past weave. I'm just going to go ahead and follow that just so I don't have to overlap. Pour it in, nice and tight. And feather it up, meaning don't just create straight lines if you can. Just try to create a little variation right there, and that way it will help it not look like there's just big lines all over their head. Okay, our last piece. Okay, so now I'm going to put her under a little bit of heat. I don't want it to be too hot. Don't ever use the perm setting on your dryers. That's ridiculous. So we're just going to use regular medium heat, let her sit and not melt, and then what happens with heat is it opens up the cuticle, and so it allows the color to get in and process a little quicker. So that's pretty much why we use heat. So I'm going to let her sit for about 30 minutes. Okay, so now we're looking to make sure her blonde is finished. You want to make sure you do the last foil that you did, obviously. And that looks really good to me. You don't want it to be super white unless you're going for like an ash or a violet or something like that. And then these are the first ones that we did. Oh, that's purple. So we're really good. Okay. So you're just looking for like it to match the ends, but you got to remember that your bleach is blue, so it's going to make it look a little more ashy. So when removing these foils, because we have bright blonde and then purple, you want to do them one foil at a time and rinse it as you go, just to kind of not let that purple tone the blonde into a violet. Also, I'm going to use like a lukewarm. I don't want it to be uncomfortable for her, but I don't want it to be too hot as well, because remember, hot opens the cuticle and then the color can go inside and stain it. And I like to start rinsing on the side that I started with, obviously for time reasons, get in there the longest. When you're pulling foils, I think the rule of thumb is if you have several different colors in there, you have a blonde, say you have like a level 4, which is a dark brown, you don't want to pull those foils all out because it muddies your blonde in general. So my rule of thumb is if there is a 7 or higher, so 7, 8, 9, or 10 mixed in with my bleach, then I can pull all the foils out at one time. But otherwise, I like to do this just so that I don't muddy the colors all together and mix them all up. You can already see how nice and close that is. lot of heat season up there. I don't think so.
I don't think we did last time either.
Okay, so now I'm just gonna do a basic cut, make sure that her ends are all clean. Spraying in, enjoy the leave-in conditioner. Put that there for you. So now I'm just going to show you kind of what I meant by weaving really close and fine up against the hairline. See how that looks super natural? And right around the ears here, there's no lines, and that's what you want. And then in the back, you can also see it's a lot better to not have those lines coming up this way. So anyway, that's all for this Amy Adams video, and you guys need to make sure you like and follow my page.